A second victory to start 2024. It was ugly, but they got it done tonight live from Arrowhead on Locked On Chiefs.
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome back, friends and neighbors. I know you just got out of a ball game, but Gametime is sponsoring us today. And you can download the app, create an account, and use our code LOCKEDONNFL, and you'll get $20 off of your next ticket purchase at Arrowhead or anywhere else. We'll tell you more about it coming up. We have Matt Derrick live from Arrowhead here post-game. Chiefs got it done, but it was hairy yet again. We're going to go through it all. You can find Matt at ChiefsDigest.com. He is joining us here, microphone in hand. I'm Ryan Tracy, the founder of Rogue Analytics and Performance Consulting, NFL33.com, where you'll see my league-wide breakdown on Tuesday, as well as RGR Football, and Chris Clark, the man that runs KC Chiefs Corner, is going to give you a breakdown on quarterback stats and the cap and everything that you need to know. We're going to get into it. Thanks for making us your first listen post-game. Check out another Locked On show for your next listen, because we are free 5 days a week on every platform, starting here on YouTube and going out to podcast platforms everywhere. If you can get a free show, you can get us all the time. We appreciate you. We have to talk about the defense and the fact that they stepped up to the game when they needed to. Shout out to Jamar Connor. We'll get to that coming up later. The offense is not what we had hoped, but it got enough points mostly. We'll see. It struggled. Why and how can they correct that? But bottom line, and we start here tonight, Matt, end of the day, as fun as this is to watch teams melt down, you tried to give this game away all day long and were unsuccessful. You got an ugly W. At the end of the day, other than injuries, that should be, I think, something you take away and feel pretty good about. Where do you stand for this team right now?
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at the glass half full, you're going to look at this game and say, this was a street brawl, and the Chiefs showed that they can win a street brawl. That's what it was. It was not anything close to being proud of. There wasn't a lot of good in this game, and I think you can convincingly make the case that the Bengals, for the most part, control the tempo, can control this game. And on points, you'd probably, well, and I say points, I'm talking about like in a fighting sense. If you're talking about the judges' cards, I think you'd probably say the Bengals won this game. But the Chiefs pull it out. And why? Once again, they're able to make plays when they need to. I'm looking at a 1 of 8 on third down. Not good for the offense, but and let's face it, I mean, the biggest play of the game wasn't one the Chiefs made. It was made for them. The pass interference that extended the game on 4th and 16. They put themselves in a position, but that was the Bengals giving it away. The Bengals play that differently. I think they probably get the stop there, and there's no flag. But played it wrong, probably over-aggressive in that situation. I can see why they played it that way, but there's nothing controversial about the flag. It was absolutely deserved. And given that opportunity, the Chiefs made the plays to win it. But I mean, let's face it. I think you can absolutely say that of all the decent big plays in this game, the biggest one of the game was the one that the Bengals gave the Chiefs.
It's hard to argue with any of that. I will say you look at this game and they got outplayed, and that's all it really comes down to. One of the things that I talked about in my keys, and I actually had this out on Twitter too, is you have to win the turnover battle, and they lost it 3-1. And I know we're going to talk about game balls later, and I already know who I want to give my game ball to, but I'm probably not going to be able to pick him because I'm guessing Matt will, but that's okay. But you watch this game, and Mahomes, I'm sorry, this is one of the worst games he's played. You can't throw the picks that he threw. The linebackers coming underneath, there was linebacker coming from both sides on the first pick, and on the second one, you miss him by throwing it a yard short of where it should have been at least. If you put it out just a little bit further in front of Worthy, then Cam Taylor-Britt can't make an amazing play, and he made an amazing play. That was a phenomenal interception, so I don't want to take anything away from him on that. But, Matt, you're absolutely right. That was pass interference 100 times out of 100. You cannot come over the top of a wide receiver. Rice didn't even get a chance to catch the ball because his helmet got hit from behind, and it moved his eyes down. So you cannot not call that in that situation. But I said this on Twitter, and I'll say this again. Regardless of Mahomes having one of his worst games that he's had in a very long time, they were still in a position for him to win at the end of the game. And there's not a QB in the NFL that I would have rather had running the offense, and there's not a kicker in the NFL that I would rather have kicking that ball from 51 than Butker. Kansas City has two of the best at those two positions, and it paid dividends for him today.
Yeah, the biggest thing for me is that, we saw some of the same mistakes from the Baltimore game that came back to bite them. And one of the things the Bengals obviously were going to do in this game was that they were going to feed their tight ends. And they absolutely chewed the Chiefs apart across the middle of the field. That is something that they are going to have to work on. Why are they struggling there? I mean, whomever that they've got in the slot or they've got on the tight ends is a problem. I know that everybody wants to blame Nick Bolton, but that's not where it starts. And Nick Bolton even made a couple of plays today. So I don't think you can really blame him for this one, some of the defensive deficiencies. But what amazes me is that you look at this game and you say, okay, wait a minute, the defense didn't play very well. Well, they only gave up 320 yards of offense. You do that in today's NFL, a lot of times you win. That's not a bad number. Bengals only ran for 74 yards. I think they averaged like 3.4 yards a carry. That's a good run defense. That's not a problem. They shut down Jamar Chase. Trent McDuffie, obviously, spent a lot of time on him, played great. You look at this and you see, wait a minute, there's a lot of elements of this that the Chiefs defense elements played well, but then at the same time, you feel like that they didn't accomplish everything that they wanted to. And Joe Burrow was able to get some things done that I didn't know that didn't think that Joe Burrow was capable of this year, with just the situation with the Bengals offense and where he is physically. But he made some big plays. He made a great throw that they needed and kept him in the game. But it's a weird one because, once again, you look at the individual parts of this and you're thinking to yourself, wait a minute, how did the Chiefs win the game? I mean, the defense played really, really well. Well, they did, but the Bengals, once again, it was a hard-fought brawl of a game. And, the Chiefs, that's not their forte. But on the bright side, they won it.
Really quick, Ryan, I just want to throw out there. Matt talked about 1 for 8 or 1 for 9 on third down. Chiefs were 2 for 2 on fourth down. And that's overlooked because of how this game ended. But they were 2 for 2, and obviously I'm not counting that penalty because that down basically doesn't count at that point. So 2 for 2 on the day, that's huge. And I think both of them went to steal, if I remember correctly. Big conversions, and he had a big time game, even though he had a fumble that really hurt.
It did. And it becomes clear the offense struggled. We're going to talk about that in just a moment, but I do want to set the record straight. This team, in terms of playing poorly, is ahead of where this team was last year because they're still pulling out wins. And that is a difference that if you're taking the 30,000-foot view, you can argue that they are in better shape right now after week 2 than they were last year after week 2. But the offense does struggle. And how do they correct that? What has to happen? That's coming up next. PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active users. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. And unlike other apps, PrizePicks, you just bet you against the numbers. Super simple. All you have to do is go more or less on 2 to 6 players of your choosing in a projection and watch the winnings roll in. Right now, they're giving you a deal. Caleb Williams, 1 yard. We've seen this deal for Patrick Mahomes before. Every week in September, that's right. You only need 1 yard to get a win right there. 4 weeks for free W's is what you're looking for over on PrizePicks. I really love that one. I love the over-under on Patrick Mahomes because it's about targets versus yards, and you can always get something that's Chiefs-related as well. So check it out. Download the PrizePicks apps right now. Use our code LOCKEDONNFL, and you get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONNFL on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive that $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game.
Football is finally back, which means it's time to order your favorite game day food, snacks, and drinks on DoorDash without missing a play. If you're going to go tailgate, why not have your Hy-Vee groceries delivered directly to your home by DoorDash for the tailgate experience? If you're going to be hosting a party at your house, why not have it delivered with DoorDash? You can get Minsky's Pizza. Maybe you're going to have some all-time great Kansas City barbecue as you're hosting a Chiefs watch party. Lots of different options that you can do all through DoorDash. Use promo code LOCKEDFALL24 for 50% off up to a $10 value when you spend $15 on your first order. Limited time offer, terms apply. Promo is not valid for orders containing alcohol. DoorDash, your door to game day greatness, your door to more. Download the DoorDash app now to order your game day favorites.
Now, when it comes to post games, you want to get in the action. Make sure you check out ChiefsDigest.com, where Matt's going to put all of his work. Also on his YouTube channel at Chiefs Digest. And you obviously are already here, so welcome in, folks. The offense struggled. The reasons why, for me, are the most perplexing. You did two things wrong, in my estimation, Matt, that cost you this offensive momentum. One, you didn't help Kingsley Suamati against one of the craftier and honestly one of the worst matchups for his style of play in this league. You left him out there too long by himself, and things went downhill. And secondly, Patrick Mahomes himself pushed way too far, did things he didn't need to do, did things, I think, to prove that, yes, while we're running really, really well, we can still throw the ball. And I want to make sure that you remember that. It felt like the game plan slipped away from them. How did you feel about it?
Yeah, I think what was really perplexing is that we don't see this very often, but this was a game where Patrick Mahomes made two very big mistakes. I mean, either one of those interceptions I can really put on, I guess three. I can't really put any of those mistakes on anybody else but Mahomes. The throw to Worthy, as Chris said, was completely underthrown. There's no reason for that. It didn't look like he was hit anyway. Just didn't put enough mustard on it. And that's confusing because Mahomes doesn't normally underthrow receivers. And there's absolutely no reason why you can underthrow Xavier Worthy. I mean, you can just air it out as much as you want to. He's going to go get it. And if you do put that ball in front of him, he probably does go get it, maybe for a big play, if not a touchdown. Underthrowing it just can't happen. On the other interception in the middle of the field that the linebacker had, I haven't heard Mahomes' explanation. I was in the locker room and wasn't in the post-game press conference. So I haven't heard what Mahomes' explanation was, whether he just didn't see the linebacker or thought that he could thread it in. But it was very similar to the turnover last week, in which he just decided the ball was going to go to Travis Kelce. It was trying to force it to Kelce when other options were open. Just didn't need to go there. He goes anywhere else with the football, and there was a couple of other people who were on play. It's a totally different matter. So those were a couple of things that were just forced mistakes from Mahomes that he didn't need to make. They were totally execution. So that's a little perplexing because he doesn't normally make those kinds of mistakes, and definitely not two of them in a game. Hey, they were running the football all over the Bengals. This Bengals defense, that's the one thing that they've clearly shown that so far this season, they cannot stop. The Chiefs ran very effectively. Pacheco, over 4.5 yards a carry. Steele somehow only ended up at 3.4 yards, but it seemed like every one of them was a tough yard. I mean, I'm assuming that even though he had 24 yards rushing, I got to figure like 35 of them were after contact. It just seemed like he getting hit at or behind the line every single time and just drag people. So I had a couple of really nice runs, but how does this offense fix it? I mean, there's a couple of things. I mean, you could point to, I think, a few different things. Probably play calling is one of them, and decisions they made, certainly part of it. But right now, I mean, we do have to talk about the fact that they have not been getting Travis Kelce involved whatsoever. And, it's a concern because, hey, even though this offense doesn't have to depend on Travis Kelce to win, they need Travis Kelce to be their most effective. So you're not going to be your most effective when Travis Kelce gets one catch for 5 yards. Just very un-Travis-like. And that can be okay if other guys step up, and Rashee Rice had a big touchdown. But this offense, let's face it, it runs through the tight end. It still does, and it always will. And that's how Andy Reid's offense 10 years from now, if he's still in the league, is going to be going through the tight end. Doesn't matter who the tight end is. So the fact that the tight end position was not productive at all for this team. Wiley, I think, had a catch for 7 yards. You get 12 yards from your tight end. That is not an Andy Reid offense. That's an Andy Reid offense that's struggling.
Yeah, and I went back and I looked. It was Steele that got both of the fourth down conversions, and one for 5 yards, one for 1 yard. And I will say this, the offense did struggle. I did like some of the play calling. I did like some of the design. And I want to throw that out there because Reid deserves credit for some of the design. Bringing in Leo Chenal, I never saw that coming. That was something that really surprised me. And they got it on the fourth down, and they ended up, I think they had him on the field for the touchdown as well that Wanya Morse caught. So he did well in design in that regard in some instances, but this offense struggled, and part of the reason it struggled was because Kingsley Suamataia struggled, and they didn't really help him. You go back to the end of the first half, and I was actually kind of excited with where the game was at that point, because I'm sitting there going, okay, Kansas City's not down by more than a score. They literally have enough time to go down the field, score again. I think they were down at a field goal at the time. They could go down, score a touchdown, and get the ball back and score another touchdown, or score more points and be, up by quite a bit by the time the Bengals get the ball back. And then 3rd and 10 happens, and you have Taylor and Suamataia allowing their guys to beat them around the edge, and Mahomes getting sacked and kicking, I believe, putting them out of field goal range. I think they were in field goal range at that point. But then, you have Butker that trots on, acting like he's going to try a 68-yard field goal. Which was never going to happen.
I was ready for it. I'm just saying.
I was too until I looked at how much time was left. And as soon as I saw how much time was left, I was like, there's no way Andy's kicking this.
Well, Harrison Butker was ready, because I talked to him after the game, and he said he just ran onto the field. He just was going to assume that they were going to kick it, and ran out there, and then waited to look back, and it looked like Dave Tobe was ready to give him the thumbs up, and they were. And I think it was only once that they hesitated and then called the timeout and then thought about it. They were like, yeah, this misses. There's too much time on the clock to go for it. But I'll tell you what, from watching Harrison during pregame, I think it was better than a 30% chance he made it. I mean, it had been even 40. I mean, no, I'm not going to say it was an 80% chance he's going to make it from 68. But going that direction on the field today, the way the little wind that there was blowing, he had a chance. I mean, he missed from 72 going that direction in pregame warmups, and it was short and left. But I think it might have been at least close from 68. It would have been maybe left, but it would have had the distance from 68.
And it would have been a new league record.
Yeah, and that's what I'm here for, especially on a day when you need it.
Yeah, if there had been 3 seconds on the clock, Ed, I think they absolutely do try to kick it from there, because Harrison had the leg.
I agree. He should be considered one of the stalwarts of this team to get these tight W's. He always is. But the defense had to contribute here. They did step up. Who and how made the most impact on the defensive side of the ball, and who gets our game balls? That's coming up next. Getting your tickets to Arrowhead just got easier. Whether you're looking for that week 1 against the Ravens, week 2 against the Bengals, or even week 5 when they come back in October for the New Orleans Saints, they have a new feature at Gametime called Gametime Picks. And it takes all the guesswork out of getting your tickets. It makes it easier to filter out the fluff and get the incredible deals on seats that you don't want to waste time searching for through those thousands of tickets. Get Gametime Picks. The curation makes it easy to get all the sports, concerts, comedy, and theater, anything that you're looking for. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create your account, and use our code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms do apply, but again, create the account, use our code LOCKEDONNFL, and you'll get $20 off of your first ticket purchase at Gametime. It's last-minute tickets. It is lowest prices, and it's always guaranteed. Make sure that you like and sub here on YouTube, and hit us on Spotify. Get on Apple Podcasts. Make sure, if you want all the details, Chris is running the subtext. You can get texts right now with every breaking news at 816-357-8781. He'll give you all the lowdown, and you can get that right now. Make sure you check out Locked On, but also ChiefsDigest.com, because that's where all Matt's work does, here on YouTube and on ChiefsDigest.com. The defense had to do their part. And I was a little concerned at first. I thought like the smaller, the speedier run attack was working pretty well against them at first. Obviously, when you have your second-year wide receiver and like 17 different tight ends catching passes against you, I was a bit concerned. The Chiefs did get a little bit more pass rush this week, Matt, a couple more sacks, but not as many quarterback hits as I had hoped. I think if I counted total, there was 7 hits on Burrow. That wasn't enough for me. I think that was part of the difference about why he was able to complete some of those passes. How did you feel that the defense started and where they finished?
Obviously, there was a difference from last week when, Lamar Jackson was able to get away. Joe Burrow doesn't have that kind of scrambling ability. So some of those Lamar Jackson scrambles did turn into sacks today. But you're right. I mean, for considering what I thought was some pretty good pressure for the most part, and we can probably have a separate conversation at some point about Chris Jones, because he just had a couple of plays that he just absolutely destroyed and demolished, and particularly had some important moments. I mean, there was a third down in particular where he just went through two guys, and it was the play that he and Karlaftis shared the sack on. I mean, that's very generous for Chris to be able to share the sack with George, because that sack does not happen without Chris blowing up the play. This goes back to a little bit of what was my concern going into the game with, both Cam Thomas and Marlon Tuipulotu, not up this week. This team had 8 defensive linemen active today. And this was, again, game I'm going to check and see maybe you guys know how many snaps the defense actually played today. It was a lot. They were on the field a lot. 80-degree weather. It was the same kind of thing that we saw against the Ravens. You can't ask 8 defensive linemen, I don't think, to play that much. You need more depth. You need more rotation. And they just don't have it right now. They need those 2 guys to be up to speed, that they are getting them out onto the field and playing, because they need the snaps. I mean, the Bengals had 61, not a huge number, but considering it was 80 degrees and considering that there was a lot of plays that were extended, they had a lot of running on. I mean, that's a deal. And I did not think that they were nearly as gassed as they were at the end of the Ravens game, but still, I mean, this was a game did not want to go into overtime, because I don't think that they would have had the juice to play that in this kind of game. But they need that. I mean, I think that they did a yeoman's job of doing that, but that will help out with the production in the front four. Is that if they can start, getting those guys in rotation, keeping them better rested, that will help. And I think they're doing other things too, as far as creatively getting other guys involved in the pass rush. The more I think Leo Chenal is involved up on the line of scrimmage and on the ball, I think the better. Jamari Connor's been pretty good. And I still don't know why they're waiting to unleash Jaden Hicks. I mean, that's the other thing, especially, when I think that this defense is struggling in the middle of the field. They've been struggling with some open field tackles. I wonder where Jaden Hicks is, because those seem like 2 of his best strengths. And I'm just kind of wondering why the Chiefs haven't unleashed him yet. I know he got in the field for a few snaps today, but for me, it wasn't enough.
And the first snap he got, I think,
it seemed to be replacement of Reed again, right, Chris?
Yeah, he went in for Reed and came in and got a snap and got a tackle right up the middle on a run. I mean, that was, I think, his first snap that I had seen him in the game. Really quick, I want to throw this out there because this was on Next Gen Stats. Trent McDuffie aligned from Jamar Chase 17 of his 38 routes, 45% of the time, including 4 routes in press coverage. McDuffie only allowed 1 reception for 4 yards, and that 1 reception for 4 yards also, I believe, would be the one that would have led to Jamar Chase's big penalty that cost the Bengals late in the game. And if he wasn't careful, I thought Jamar Chase had a chance at getting tossed.
Yeah, and I've only heard what was in the pool report. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but that was apparently precipitated because Jamar thought that McDuffie used a hip drop tackle on him. The officials did not agree, didn't see it that way. That's what Jamar went off on. Used some language with the officials that you are not allowed to use. That's what drew the flag. The officials made it pretty clear this was not a judgment call. I mean, that this was literally abuse at an official with language that is prohibited. Jamar knows better, and right, he kept going after it. It seemed like there could have been a second flag very, very easily. I think they gave him a little bit of rope to protect him, but he tried to get a second flag, no doubt about it.
I was going to say, and he went after him physically, not trying to necessarily hit somebody, but he went after a ref and was stepping in, trying to go through a ref, and that could get you in trouble too.
Joe Burrow might have been the tackle of the day for the Bengals, keeping him away from the official.
Absolutely.
He easily could have been. There's a lot of guys on the defense that help pass out, step up and pass out and get Jamar Chase into that situation. For the record, Trent McDuffie never went to the ground himself. He stayed on his feet. Absolutely not a hip drop in any way, shape, or form by the rule of the law. But that said, he was one contributor. And I want to shout out Trent McDuffie right now because he draws, as of L'Jarius Sneed of years past, he draws the toughest assignment every week. A lot of players are able to play their game based on what he does. Shamari Connor's obviously a very timely sack there. Great call by Spagnuolo. I don't think he put many people in position for that today, but the defensive as a whole, when they were called to answer, they did. And so, Matt, let's start with you. Who gets your game ball, whether on the defensive side or anywhere else?
I mean, I might be going against the wind a little bit here. I think there's several guys on the defense side you absolutely could have given it to. I'm going to give it to the guy that I think had some of the biggest plays of the game, kind of sparked this team a few times. And there might be a little bit of sentimentality here because I think it's a guy that you're not going to see for a while. Isaiah Pacheco had a really nice game today. Doesn't get hurt. He may go over 100 yards, 19 attempts, 90 yards, 4.7 yards a carry. Played a good game, had a couple of really nice runs, a couple of really nice catches too, 111 yards total offense. But this ankle injury is something to monitor. We continue to go through some tests. I can tell you that just based on the scene in the locker room with how emotional that he was, and the players and coach staff coming up to him, trying to console him, it's not what I expect with an injury that's going to keep you out for a couple of weeks. I think this is something that, unless the tests just completely tell a different story, at least what the Chiefs think right now, it's something that's going to keep him out for a while. So keep an eye on it this week, see what we learn in the next couple of days. But I give it the game ball because I think Pacheco played his heart out today. And like I said, I think it's might be the last time we see for a little while.
It's terrible, but I hope that's not the way it goes down. But kudos to him for his effort and his juice today. Chris, who gets yours?
Before I give my game ball out, I want to say a couple of things on special teams because I don't think we give them enough credit. Matt Ariza had a great punt, but the thing that really stands out to me, and I put this out on Twitter, but I want to say it here too, because to be in that pressure situation, yeah, the pressure's all on Butker, but for Ariza to step in there as a rookie holder and to not flinch at all and just get the snap down, and I understand that's repetition. I understand that that's something that he's gotten used to doing, but that's still a lot of pressure to put on somebody like that. For him to be able to get the hold down for Butker's kick, I thought was huge. And I got to give credit to Joshua Williams as well, because go back and watch Ariza's punt that he got down inside the 1 yard line. Joshua Williams learned from last week and came back and made a big play to down the ball right at the 1 yard line. And I think that needs to be something that is pointed out. I'm going to go the easy way though on defense, and I'm going to say Shamari Connor. And it's the return touchdown. I mean, don't get me wrong. Warden, I have to say, made a fantastic play on the ball because I wasn't sure who got it until after watching several different replays, but it was Warden, it looks like. And Shamari Connor, right there picking it up. But the bigger play that he made, the touchdown was great. But him coming in and the way he disguised his blitz to be able to confuse Burrow, and Burrow had no idea he was coming. That was such a huge play, and his ability to get after the quarterback and that sack was huge.
I'm going to throw an anecdote out here too,
enormous.
Chris, to back you up on the Matt Ariza, because I asked him, how can a guy who never held for kicks in college be so good at holding kicks now? And he said, one of the great things about living in San Diego, a lot of kickers come out to San Diego to work during the offseason, and he's one of the guys that they call the hold for kicks. He goes out there and works with them. So he's worked with a lot of NFL kickers out in San Diego, holding for them for kicks, and obviously that experience has paid off.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's a great nugget. That's the way that a lot of these things take shape when you can't even see it. That's incredible. Now, I go back and forth because both of these guys, in my opinion, and I'm going to cheat and give two game balls here, Phyllis. So they both were the catalysts that allowed all these other things to happen, in my opinion. Trent McDuffie, aforementioned, allowed that play to be there because Ja'Marr Chase wasn't tearing you up. I know he traveled some. They did give him some solid looks where somebody else was on Chase, but for the most part, he took care of business, and that allowed the defense to do what he needed to do. And Rashee Rice moved the sticks. Somebody had to be the complement to Isaiah Pacheco. It wasn't Travis Kelce today. It couldn't be Xavier Worthy. It had to be Rashee Rice. And you got to have those guys. They don't have to be number ones and superstars, but you got to move your perspective side of the ball in order to get these wins. We'd love to know who you think should have the game balls. Put your comments down below.
And if you want to tell us that we're all crazy because none of us gave the game ball to Chris Jones, I will accept that because Chris Jones was the best player on the field today.
I was going to say, if you want to tell us we're all crazy and you want to give a game ball to Wanya Morris for one stepping in at the end of the game and doing enough to help them get the W, But to get the touchdown, I mean, big guy touchdown, hard to really – we don't even talk about it, but that was a great play. Loved it, and I really am excited to see what they do with Chanel coming in more of a fullback type role, which I'm really kind of surprised Ryan didn't want to talk about.
I was surprised. I'd give
day later this week.
I'd give Wanya a game ball for the dance alone. So that was
fair enough. You and I both agree on that, Matt. I'm with you on that one, buddy.
Well, it's a good time to be a Chiefs fan, and a win is a win. We're going to take it, and we're going to move on. We will have further breakdown of this game. Matt will rejoin us for Wednesday. You will hear us then. Then we get ready for the next contest. You guys might know who they are, but enjoy this one. You can find Matt's work at ChiefsDigest.com. You can find Chris's work at KC Chiefs Corner. You can find mine at NFL 33 and RGR Football. And it sounds like there's something else that I forgot.
Well, you didn't forget anything. I just want to say the Chiefs now hold basically a 2-game lead on the Baltimore Ravens because they lost to the Raiders today. Congratulations. You have a 2-game lead on the AFC leading Ravens from last year. Love it. 2-0.
I will take that as well. Matt, thanks for staying up late with us and from Arrowhead. We appreciate your insight, especially from the locker room. Thanks, buddy.
Absolutely. Always.
Have a great night, everyone. Enjoy your weekend. Break down the water cooler tomorrow, and we'll have more for you tomorrow afternoon. Thanks for joining us tonight. We'll talk to you next time.